Hello again. I thought I would explain briefly why the United Kingdom can never withdraw entirely from Europe and ignore the European Court of Human Rights, who of course blocked the removal of bogus refugees from the country a few hours ago. There are two reasons for this. The first is that the European Convention on Human Rights is a fundamental and explicit part of the so-called Good Friday Agreement in Northern Ireland. I give a link to this document in the description to this video. On page 18 of the Good Friday Agreement we read the following. The British government will complete incorporation into Northern Ireland law of the European Convention on Human Rights with direct access to the courts and remedies for breach of the convention, including power for the courts to overrule assembly legislation on grounds of inconsistency. Right, the courts they're referring to and the remedies for non-compliance, that's the European Court of Human Rights, the one that just stopped the flight to Rwanda. This is actually written into law in part of the United Kingdom. And right there you have it. To withdraw from the European Convention on Human Rights would mean tearing up the Good Friday Agreement. It's as simple as that, and it's not an enticing prospect. In fact, nobody's going to do it. In that part of the United Kingdom, the European Convention on Human Rights is forever enshrined in their law. Then too, before we withdrew from Europe in early 2020, Britain and the EU had signed a document called Political Declaration setting out the framework for the future relationship between the European Union and the United Kingdom. I give a link to this document as well. Paragraph 7 reads, "The future relationship should incorporate the United Kingdom's continued commitment to respect the framework of the European Convention on Human Rights." That's it. If the United Kingdom tries to withdraw from the European Convention on Human Rights, then that means the end of the Good Friday Agreement and also breaking an international treaty which we signed just 2 years ago. The United Kingdom is never going to be free of the jurisdiction of the European Court of Human Rights, whose job it is to enforce the European Convention on Human Rights. It's all been a little bit of smoke and mirrors here, because anybody that thought that withdrawing from Europe would mean no more European court involvement in our lives was very much mistaken.